I spent 20 years watching entrepreneurs lose in the courtroom, in bad deals, in partnerships gone wrong, in lawsuits they never saw coming. And even when they won, they still lost. They lost legal fees, they lost time, they lost sleep, they lost their business. And I realized something extremely important, that our system is broken. And lawyers profit from your problems, and they show up after the damage is done. They bill you by the hour while your life falls apart. So I decided to do something different. I'm Karam, the battle-tested lawyer. I've been a lawyer and entrepreneur for 20 years, and today I'm going to tell you why I created the only business defense system for entrepreneurs and why you shouldn't hire me as your lawyer, but rather as your mentor, and why no one else could have built this system. Let's go. Let me tell you where I come from. 20 years as a lawyer, exposed to over $1 billion worth of transactions, hundreds of cases, real courtrooms, real depositions, real subpoenas, real entrepreneurs losing everything. Now, I've sat across from business owners in the worst moments of their lives, and you really don't want to be there. Partnerships dissolved, clients suing them, court-appointed receivers tearing their companies apart, fraud, breach of contract, competitors stealing their IP, employees walking out with trade secrets, investors coming back for revenge when their deals went sideways. Now, I've seen what destroys businesses, not in theory, but in practice, in the courtroom, under oath. And here's what I noticed. It was the same patterns over and over. It was the same 5 enemies, the same 7 danger zones, the same mistakes, no operating agreement, no scope in the contract, no trademark registration, too much trust, poor partnership agreements, complete ignorance of marketing compliance. I started cataloging these patterns, enemies, mistakes, failures, and I came up with 101 deadly mistakes, all the ways that entrepreneurs get destroyed in business. Now, I realized if I could see these patterns, I could prevent them, not after the lawsuit, but before it ever happens. But here's the truth that changed everything for me. No matter what, my clients always lost. Even when we won the case, even when we got to judgment, even when the other side had to pay, my clients still lost. They lost years of their lives in litigation. They lost sleep. They lost their focus on their business. They lost revenue while dealing with lawyers instead of customers. They lost personal aspects of their life they'll never get back. They paid legal fees on whatever they ended up recovering. And sometimes they didn't recover anything at all. They suffered pain, stress, and a lot of their relationships got damaged. I watch clients go through divorces, personal issues. You can't put a price on all of that damage and carnage from legal mistakes they could have prevented. Now, these legal mistakes, they aren't the failures that you want to experience and grow from. They're not the good failures. They're the ones that are irreparable. They're destructive. And judges, they're not there to help you. They want to help the lawyers get rich. They're going to put you through the unfair and expensive litigation just to force you into a settlement. Even if you're right, you're going to end up settling your case. Now, one day a client of mine won a really big judgment, and it ended up not being collectible. A lot of them aren't. And that's when it really hit me. What if someone could prevent this? What if someone could teach entrepreneurs how to avoid these mistakes before they happen, these 101 deadly mistakes? And that's when I knew I had to build something different, and I had the knowledge and experience to do it. So let me step back and tell you who I built Legally Bulletproof for. Big companies have legal departments, armies of lawyers on retainer, resources to fight and win. But the small business owners, the solopreneurs, the freelancers, the founders who are trying to build something from nothing, they have nothing. They're the ones who get crushed. They're the ones I've represented. They're the ones who I care about, who came to me after the damage was done. I'm one of those people, and I always wondered why nobody warned them. Now, I've been an underdog my whole life. When I played sports as a kid, I got bullied, and that taught me how to stand up for myself, how to earn my trophy. When I wanted to start my own law practice, everybody told me that I was crazy not to do it. The judge I worked for said it was nuts. My family told me I was crazy. Everyone said it was way too risky. When somebody tells me not to do something, I do it. Now, that's just who I am and who I serve. So I started my practice alone. No mentor, no guidance, no one to show me the way. And I made mistakes. I learned. I got knocked down, I got back up, I figured it out, but I always wished that I had somebody a mentor, not somebody to tell me how to make more money. There's a million people teaching you how to make 10K a month. I wished I had somebody who actually cared enough to give me their time, their experience, their battle scars, someone who could help me prevent the problems before they happen. That person didn't exist for me. I couldn't find that person. So I decided to be that person for you and the rest of the underdogs out there who built a business when everyone told you not to. So here's how I actually built this system. I used a method called inversion, something that Charlie Munger and Alex Hormozi use. And instead of asking how do entrepreneurs succeed, I asked myself, how do they fail? I took 20 years of watching people lose and I cataloged every way it happened, all the patterns, all the mistakes, all the enemies, and then I boiled it down. How would I destroy you in court? What arguments would I make? What evidence would I look for? What weaknesses would I exploit? How would I tear up your contracts? How would I pierce your LLC if I was opposing counsel? Because I've done that. How would I steal your IP if I was your competitor? How would I exploit your contract if I was your client? How do I pick these things apart? Now, I ask these questions because I've actually done it. I've been the lawyer finding the weaknesses. I've been the lawyer in the depositions, exposing the lies. I've gone through bank records and cell phone records, and I took that losing recipe and I inverted it. This is how you lose. Then the opposite by default is how you win. Now, this isn't something I made up. Einstein used inversion to solve problems. Like I said, Charlie Munger built his investment philosophy on it. Alex Hormozi talks about it all the time, but I'm the only one who's really applied it to legal protection for entrepreneurs because I'm the only one with 20 years of courtroom experience who watched exactly how businesses got destroyed and reverse engineered a system that's going to prevent that destruction. It's not templates from the internet, it's battle tested. It's built from the losing recipe, a real losing recipe, real blood, sweat, and tears of clients who paid a lot of money for this already. Let me just be crystal clear about something very important. There's very few lawyers who could have built this. And here's why. Most lawyers are reactive. They wait for problems. They bill you by the hour. They profit from your pain. That's the business model. Most lawyers aren't entrepreneurs. They don't understand what it's like to build something from nothing, to take a risk, to hustle, to wear every hat in the business. It's not what they do. And most lawyers don't have 20 years of litigation experience watching patterns repeat over and over. They don't have the data. They don't have the battle scars. They just don't have the experience. Now, I'm both. I'm the entrepreneur and the lawyer. I've built businesses. I failed in business. I've seen the dangers firsthand, personally and professionally. I've represented plaintiffs and defendants. That combination doesn't exist simply anywhere. That's why this is the only business defense system, not because I'm marketing it that way, because it's literally true. No one else has done this. Nobody else has really dedicated their time for entrepreneurs to really help them because lawyers want to profit from your problems. As a mentor, I want to profit from your success. So here's what I want you to understand about what I'm offering. Don't hire me as your lawyer. Hire me as your mentor. A lawyer shows up after you've made mistakes, after the lawsuit, after the bad partnership, after the client destroys you, after the deal goes sideways. A lawyer profits from your problems. I can't stress that enough. A mentor shows up before. A mentor teaches you how to prevent the mistakes. A mentor gives you their time, their experience, their battle scars, so you don't have to earn your own the hard way. And that's what I'm doing. That's what this is all about. And that's why I call it a mentorship. It's educational. It's human. It's preventative. It's all about protecting you before you need protection. Now, I stopped litigating. I walked away from a successful practice. I started doing this on social media, content, education. This was all new to me because I realized this is how I can actually help people the most. Not billing them by the hour while their life falls apart, but rather teaching them how to never be in that position in the first place. And that's the only real solution. And honestly, this wasn't possible a few years ago. Technology has changed everything. Now I can reach entrepreneurs everywhere. I can build systems. I can provide resources at scale. I can be the mentor I never had for thousands of people who need it. And there's plenty of entrepreneurs out there who need a legal system, who need an attorney, who need that relationship, who need somebody in their business to be critical of them. So let me tell you what business defense is really about. It's about safety. It's about certainty. It's It's about protection. It's about leveling the playing field. It's about giving the underdogs the same knowledge that the big guys have. It's about learning from each other, from my battle scars, from the mistakes of others, so you don't pay the price that they paid. It's about defense and value, because when you're protected, you can grow. And when you're not worried about lawsuits, you can focus on your business. And when your structure is solid, your business is worth more. Your business is just a collection of legal transactions. Protection and profit, defense and growth. That's the mission. And I get emotional sometimes about it because I've seen what happens when people don't have this. I've held their hands in the worst moments. I've been there when people lose their homes. I've watched dreams die, and I don't want that for you. And that's why I built Legally Bulletproof. That's my story. That's why I built the business defense system, the only business defense system for entrepreneurs. And like I always tell you, this system is for entrepreneurs, made by an entrepreneur. It's based on identifying the 5 enemies that every entrepreneur must face, and surviving and navigating the 7 legal danger zones that touch upon every business, and then avoiding the 101 deadly mistakes that destroys companies before you reach your destination. And that's what I bring to the table. That's my system. Your first step towards becoming legally bulletproof is completing the risk report. Now, this is a $7,500 in-person product that I would offer one-on-one, where I take a deep dive into your business. I'd look at the risks, the enemies, the liabilities, and I'd audit it. And I'd give you a defense plan and resources. But instead of charging you thousands, I trained this software with my knowledge, with my system, so it could do it for you instantly. And now I offer it to you for free, because all you have to do is answer some questions about your business, and my system will identify risks and gaps that you don't see, because you're legally exposed and you don't even know it. And that's how most entrepreneurs are. So the link to the risk report is in the description. Do it now. It's free. You've got nothing to lose. And if you want a taste of the system, I'm also giving away the Laws of Power, our Client Defense Edition. It's a free guide that will show you how clients are one of the 5 deadly enemies, like I've been saying, and how to handle them using the laws of power. Because core belief number 5 is practicing proactive power. And being an entrepreneur is all about power, retaining power, acquiring power, and defending your power, protecting it. So check out my video on Business Defense 101. It explains the entire system. And remember, in business, defense wins championships. I'm Karam, the battle-tested lawyer. Get legally bulletproof.